అనిపిస్తుందండి? ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు
Yeah,
సీ?
yeah, yeah. కనిపిస్తుంది.
ఓకే. ఇప్పుడు పేబుల్స్ లో కొద్దిగా సెటప్ స్టెప్స్ సీరియస్ దీంట్లో మారుదాం, సీక్వెన్స్ మారుస్తాను.
ఓకే, ఓకే.
సో అంటే మీకు అండర్స్టాండింగ్ ఈజీ అవుతుంది, కన్ఫ్యూషన్ లేకుండా ఉంటుంది. So we have created a business unit. To create a business unit, we have to have the location. So with the location, you are assigning it to the business unit. That is the step sequence. Then after creating a business unit, what all the functions will perform in that business unit, that we have to select. All the business unit related functions are all the applications, sub-ledger applications can perform in one business unit. So we are creating one business unit called Sitaram Civil Constructions Business Unit we have created. So in this civil construction business unit, what all the actions you want to perform, what are the activities you want to do, that only we will enable it. That is called assigning the business unit business functions. If we do not assign a function here, you cannot make any setup or you cannot make any transaction there connected to that. So this is the control panel like. So that's why what are the actions, activities we want to perform in the business unit, that we will associate. Then we will have to create the payment terms. If we want to create our own payment terms, we have to create them and we have to associate them with the reference data set. That's what we have given. Payment terms we can create, but if you want to have our own payment terms, we need to define our payment terms and associate them with our own reference data set. So that is the reason why we have to create one reference data set. So this is specific to business unit. This is specific to business unit. A reference data set, what we create is a specific to a business unit.
Okay.
The reference data set, what we create is specific to a business unit. Means to our own business unit. The common is common for every business. Whoever wants to take the common from Oracle, they can take it. Or if you want to have your own business unit, that you will have to create your own reference data set and use some of the cards. Yesterday we tried for one of the things, but we could not get that. Where to assign it to the business unit, we were not able to find out. I'm still on search. So after creating the reference data set, assign reference data set to the business unit level. We have created payment terms. So for those payment terms, we have to assign our reference data set at the business reference data set object levels. Payable payment terms are there, that we have created our own payment terms. Those terms are associated with the reference data set. And so we are associating the payables payment terms object. We have created our change. The common is common. So wherever we want to replace the common with our own reference data set, that we need to do at the reference data object level, but not at the business unit level. So this is the step we have seen that. So this is part with regard to the reference data set. Then next step, let us create as a, not to create confusion. Next step, what we will say is sixth step, we'll create a legislative data group. We create a legislative data group. While creating a legal entity, right? So we'll bring that. I have already done it. Legislative data group. So that part will come to the common options. Everything will go for later. Define invoice options, payment options, they will remain same. But we have to create we need to create supply renter site. So procurement agent. Now here, create a list to data group. This part I'm bringing here from there to here. So this is what we have to create. Create a legislative data group.
Okay.
Legislative data group is in between the enterprise and the business group. So inside,
Business unit.
yeah, no, business group level. Business group level, we have certain HR associated topics. So this legislative group, data group, is similar to business group, but does not have all the functions of the business group, but does not have all the functions related to business group. So there in e-business suite, for every country, we create a business group to have the statutory laws and other things. We create one business group for every in e-business suite.
So even though we don't use HRMS, we still do that, sir? Any business suite?
HRMS, without doing HRMS, how can you perform some functions here? You don't do that, but in case you want to have approval mechanism, at least you will have to have employees, you will have to jobs and positions, right? You may not really use HRMS for payroll, but you may not use that. but for at least for the sake of approvals, for the sake of position hierarchies, you definitely need to have the shared HRMS applications. Shared
That,
HRMS applications.
that piece I understand. So I'm talking about for second EBS. Do we
Ah,
need to create a business group if you're not using HRMS?
no, that's what I'm telling. If you do not create a business group, how you will get the structures to
Business group
create a
accept.
job and position in the purchasing applications for the position hierarchy? Where from you will get it unless that responsibility is associated with a business group?
Create చేసామా బిందు క్లాస్ ఈబీఎస్ క్లాస్ business group create.
Chesanga, the business group create Chesanga.
Oh, okay. I don't remember.
We have
Okay.
created the business group. To create a positions, we have not gone up to that level. Bindu class, we have not gone up to the positions level. So
But we
for
have
the
created a business
approvals, there are two kinds of approvals. One is the position hierarchy, other one is the employee supervisor hierarchy.
group.
So for that also you need to define employees, right? So shared, even if you do not use HRMS, Oracle gives you the shared data access to the HR applications to make setups connected to the HR.
Okay.
So there also you need to define jobs. There also you need to define the positions. So unless you define them, the positions are always flex field is given in the business group only. So you need to give it define a dummy business group. Though you are not using the HRMS really, for the sake of these positions and also jobs and positions, they have got flex fields. So that is there only you can create in the HRMS application, shared application only you can create the position hierarchy. So even if you do not use HRMS, we are using procurement, then it is fine. So that's the reason why it is always there. And they will not mandatorily we use that, but still we have to use the setup for that. Even these applications also you have to define the organizations, everything, they have to be associated with a business group. For the ones that you are using in India, so though you do not use it, you will have to, for the application sake, setup sake, you need to create a business group. So in e-business, we create the business group and define and associate all the flex fields and select all the flex fields related to HRMS, including the cost allocation flex field. Including the cost allocation flex field. So here in Fusion, we select all the flex fields for the enterprise as we do for the business group in EBS, but not the cost allocation flex field. This cost allocation flex field is associated with the legislative data group. This is associated with the legislative data group. So that means the companies, the legal entities need to be associated with the necessarily have to have the legislative data group. The legal entity should necessarily be associated with a legislative data group. This data group is country specific. This LDG is country specific because HR policies, employment policies, labor policies may be the same. So the legal entity should necessarily be associated with a legislative data group, right? To be eligible to become a legal employer. Only the legal employers can employ the people, employ the people. If you are not a legal employer, no employee can be associated with you, with that company. Once we define an employee user, once we define an employee user, we need to necessarily make him as an employee and assign him to one business unit and one legal entity, one legal employer. Legal employer. Legal employer. Who is the legal employer? The legal entity that is following a legislative data group. If the legal entity is not following, if the legal entity is not following any LDG, legislative data group, the employees cannot be associated to the company. With the business with the business units and with their legal entity. That is the reason why we need to create a legislative data group. Creation of employees is a must. Creation of employee users is a must to perform certain actions like creating a supplier site. A supplier site. Right? Only employee users can be made as procurement agents. Only procurement agents can create a supplier site. In e-business suite, we can create supplier site. Anybody can go and create. We can create a supplier. We can create supplier address, and we can create the supplier site also. But here, unless you are a procurement agent, you will not be able to create it. Unless only procurement agent. To become a procurement agent, one should be an employee user. Then only he will be able to create that. So that is the reason why creation of employee user a must. Who is employee user? A user who is associated with a business unit and a legal entity that he is a employer. He is an employee. So the legal employer can only employ the people. So that is the reason why every legal entity, if they have to employ the staff, so they will have to necessarily create that. So now supplier navigate the create a data group, we create this. It has become necessary because while creating the legal entity, so we have enabled two checkboxes there. While creating the legal entity, we have created two checkboxes there. So that is called legal employer. Also, we have created there. Payroll user and also the legal employer. Those two checkboxes we have enabled here. So those I will show that where we have defined the legal entity. There we have enabled here. And the registered data group we have created. So I will get to the screen there.
So does
Manage
it
the
mean,
yeah.
so does it mean like, let's say like I have 5 legal entities in the company. So do I need to create 5 LSDs or because I'm
No,
not using
country
it?
specific. Country specific, you have to create LDG to a country specific. America, you can create only Sitaram USA Legislative Data Group. So
No,
the
no,
same data group can be assigned to all the legal entities in US.
no. When I'm creating, so let's say like I'm not using HRMS. I'm not using
Yeah.
HRMS.
Hmm.
So I have 5 legal entities within the America. Within America, I have 5 legal entities. Forget about the
Hmm.
country. Within US, I have
Hmm.
5 legal entities.
Hmm.
So can I make one legal entity as the employer and assign all the employees of the 5 legal entities to this legal entity, or that's not an option? Will there
No,
be
no,
a problem?
all the five legal entities can be associated with this legislative data group. You will create one legislative data group that can be assigned to multiple legal entities.
Mm. Okay. And then when you're
Legal
creating
entity
employees, when you're creating employees, that will be specific to that legal entity.
Yes, we need to specifically pick the legal employer. Suppose you have 5 legal entities in America. You have created one legislative data group in America. You have
Mm.
associated with only company A. So only
Mm.
company A becomes the legal employer.
Mm.
So you can associate employees only to company A, not to B. I will show you that. I will show you that when we go to the creation of that. So here,
No,
Sitaram.
no. What I'm saying is, so maybe, so can I have all the employees assigned to one legal entity rather than multiple legal entities?
Yes, you can. You can associate them.
We'll have
All
to
the
call.
entities, see, you can have only one legal entity, you are associating them.
Mm.
Suppose you want to buy the purchasing activity in company two.
Mm.
What are you going to do there? In company two also you have to have purchasing, right?
I'm just trying to visualize, let's say, because when we created the enterprise, we associated a legal entity.
Yeah.
Enterprise create JSON, legal entity create JSON, right?
Hmm.
We have attached a legal entity to an enterprise. So can I have all the employees, irrespective of the legal entity, assigned to the legal entity of the enterprise?
No, each legal entity is a separate one, right? One enterprise can have multiple ledgers. One ledger can be followed by multiple legal entities.
No, that is
So
true. But
each,
Manu, at the enterprise create JSON or legal entity, I remember assigning a legal entity to an enterprise, right?
no,
We
we
assign,
have not assigned. We have not assigned that entity. We have assigned legal entities only to the ledger,
okay, not to the enterprise.
not to the enterprise.
Okay.
Uh, if we see the legal entity, when we have created the legal entity, what are the things that we have provided there, then you will understand it. Manage legal entities.
అవునండి అది ఉంది అది చూసాను అది ఇది స్టాట్యుటరీ ఎంప్లాయర్ లీగల్ ఎంప్లాయర్
Mm,
ఏమో
mm,
ఉన్నారు రెండు
mm, mm, mm. దీనికి సెర్చ్ బార్ లాగా ఇవ్వలేదు వాడు. అది ఇచ్చుంటే మనం పైన మనం టైప్ చేస్తుంటే అది వచ్చేసేది. కొన్నిటికి ఇచ్చాడు, కొన్నిటికి ఇవ్వలేదు.
అదే అదే అదే
కొన్ని పేజెస్కి అయితే పైన సెర్చ్ ఇచ్చాడు, అక్కడ మనం ఎంటర్ చేసి టైప్ చేసామంటే వచ్చేస్తుంది. సీతారాం. సో సీతా కన్స్ట్రక్షన్స్. So now here we have given the payroll statutory unit and also the legal employer.
ఉమ్.
So that is why this we have opted. If you do not want to employ people, don't enable that. If you don't enable, you cannot have employees for that. If you do not have employees, so now, then you cannot purchase. Procurement cannot be done. Procurement sites cannot be created.
ఉమ్.
Yeah. Supplier sites cannot be created. It is the supplier sites we deal with. Supplier is global. Supplier site is local.
ఉమ్.
So supplier site is specific to a business unit. So how many business units you have? So that all the business units should be associated with that supplier site. Supplier site should be assigned to the business unit. So supplier site has to be necessarily assigned to our business unit. In case our business unit have to raise the purchase orders with the suppliers and also to make him the payments in the accounts payable application also. We cannot do any
Okay.
transactions with the supplier unless the supplier site is associated with this. So now because of this reason, payroll statutory unit. So this company will run. That means it is going to employ the people. And also it is a legal employer. So now if it has to become a legal employer, it has to necessarily have the legislative data. Legislative data group, it has to have that. So now we'll create the setup and maintenance. So when legislative data group, we have created it here. Now we'll go to the create a legislative data group. It is a country specific. I told you it is a country specific. So we can create it. Now I will show that. I will create our own legislative data group. And we need to assign the payroll statutory unit. This legislative data group is to be assigned to the legal entity. So then only it will become the legal employer. It has to be linked. Otherwise, just by creating a legal legislative data group, you cannot have that.
Yep,
Now
got it.
save and close. Now we go to the search page. This legislative data group is connected to the HRMS. So you cannot implement it through the managed implementation projects. So we have to go through the search, global search village. Here we have to create the manage legislative data group. That means the legislated related policies with regard to the allocations, cost allocation structure has to be decided according to the legal or formalities or legislative rules or legislations of the specific country. Every country will have its own labor policies, labor philosophies. So according to that, you need to give the cost allocation structure. So that is the reason why they say that a legal entity, in order to employ the people, should be following necessarily a country's HR policies with regard to the salaries, payments, everything, bonus, there, everything. So that's why it is go to the legislative data groups. That was associated with the business group there or cost allocation flex field. So that's why there was no need for us to create separately as the legislative data group. But here we have to create the legislative data group for that purpose. Now we are creating a new one here for us. Srika, USA, LDG, legislative data group. So if within the country, if you have got different HR policies in different states, then you can do more than one legislative data group also. Suppose in India, West Bengal is a communistic state and Kerala is also like that, Tripura also. If they are following a stringent policies so differently, so then you may have, within a country also, you may have to define a different legislative data group.
Got it.
Yeah. So this is the country specific here. Now here currency is US dollars. This should automatically come. Some people have made some customizations. So here cost allocation structure. Somebody has changed it to ITCFA. Anyway, no problem for us. But normally it is Oracle predefined cost allocation structure will come here. Cost allocation structure. So now this is how we create the legislative data group. A country specific one. This is only just name. As we have got the reference data set, this also is similar to that. Just you are giving the name and you are associating this with other things. What all the policies are there that will be mentioned in the cost allocation structure flex field, HR flex field.
మీకు థ్రోట్ క్లియర్ అయినట్లేదు కదా సార్ ఇంకా మీకు థ్రోట్
అది ఇప్పుడే చపాతీ తిన్నానండి కొద్దిగా కారంతో.
ఓకే
అందుకని
ఓకే
కొద్దిగా వస్తాను థ్రోట్ అది. అంటే నాకు కొద్దిగా అలర్జీ కొంచెం కోల్డ్ ఒకసారి కాఫ్ వచ్చిందంటే ఇట్ పర్సిస్ట్ ఫర్ సమ్ డేస్. ఇట్ నాట్ గో ఈజీలీ. అది. So like this, we created legislative data group. After creating the legislative data group, we need to assign the legislative data group to the legal entity. HCM information. It is there in this, right? So we need to associate with the Avanti Constructions the payroll statutory unit we need to go. So now we go to the HCM information. Setup maintenance, search page, manage legal entity, HCM information. Same HCM page only, we select it here, submit. Because this is connected to HR, so HR records will be updated. One process will be updated to define in the HRC. Now we have created the legislative data group. So manage legal entity HCM information. Legal entity has to have HCM information also. What HCM information? About the cost allocation of field. Manage legal entity HCM information. So we need to select the HCM here. HCM here, we need to select here. Legal entity name, Sita Constructions. Search for that. You will get the Sita Constructions Company. Now you will come to this page here. We click on edit. We click on edit. Then we go to the payroll statutory unit here. Click on the payroll statutory unit. Now you need to click on the edit first. Edit, update. HR records are all updated or corrected. Updated means it will maintain the old record and also the current record. Or correct means you are correcting the record from the beginning. That is the difference between the update and correct. From the date of creation till the date of that, you are changing from which date. Up to that date, old, what was the previous record and what is the latest record also, it will maintain both the informations.
Audit trail.
Audit trail. So now we can create and select here the legislative data group, what all we have created. Sita, legislative data group. Sita USA legislative data group. We have created this. Now also fiscal year also comes here. This fiscal year also we define in the business group there. But here it is asking at this level. While creating a business group, it asks at the fiscal year date, start date. And that information it is asking here also. So like this, we have to click on the button called edit. From the edit button, you select the payroll statutory unit tab page. From the tab page, we can click on this and submit it. So now we have associated our legislative data group here, HCM information. So we assign the legislative data group here. Then we can assign the date, fiscal year date. Then we can submit the recording. See, now the legal entity, Sita Constructions Company Limited, is associated with the legal entity. Country specific can create more than one LD also if a country has got different rules. HR policies are different rules. So now this company can employ the peoples. This company can employ the users like that. So now the user can be created. Now this is okay. Now we have created the legislative data group. This one can create the employees now. We can associate the employees only with the construction company, but not with the other companies. Other company also, software company is there. If you try to create an employee, user, and if you try to associate him with that, system will not allow you to do so.
Because it's not attached to legislative data group.
Data group. So these are common options. And then we need to create a supplier. So when we want to create a supplier, because if I come here and say legislative data group again, so then it will be confusing. So many confusions are there. I don't want to add one more confusion. So let that legislative data group be separate. So we need to create a supplier, supplier address, and supplier site. Supplier creation is at 3 levels. Supplier creation passes through 3 levels. One, we create a supplier. The supplier can have a user, any user can create the suppliers here. So here, a supplier, yeah, okay, let it be there. Supplier addresses. We give the supplier's physical location. We give the supplier's physical location. Supplier address is nothing but supplier. When you create, when you say supplier, you are giving in the supplier profile only you are creating. So the address we have to create. One supplier can have multiple addresses. One supplier can have multiple addresses. Suppose ABC supplier is there. ABC can be there in New Jersey, New York, also California, Chicago, anywhere, wherever he wants to have, he can have one supplier address. One supplier can have multiple addresses. Means locations. You can do the business from different locations. Then supplier site. Supplier site, we give the purpose of this site. Supplier site means it is a build to location or ship to location. Build to location means once you buy the goods from the vendor can submit his bill or his invoice to this location or not, to this supplier site. Supplier site, so build to location and ship to location.
We don't ship anything to him though, right?
No, we don't ship anything. We don't ship anything. Let me go there and come back to you. Maybe I'm also a bit done it. Why I did it, I will just clarify to you there. Supplier, when we are creating a location supplier site, there we get the procurement site. Procurement site and also build to site and ship to site.
Okay.
I will mark it with red. Then I will clarify to you when I create a supplier site. So each address can have one location. Each address can have one ship to one supplier site. Each supplier address can have one supplier site. Only you can create supplier sites with an address. So if he has got 10 locations or 10 addresses, so that means he has got 10 sites, supplier sites or 10 supplier sites.
True.
So one address is equivalent to one supplier site. We can create site only with an address. So up to supplier, any user can create a supplier and his profile. Any user can create a supplier address also. Up to that, system will allow anybody to do it. But to create a supplier site, only procurement agent can create a supplier site. Procurement agent only can do that. That has to be wrote. How can we create a procurement? Yeah.
When you say procurement agent, meaning there is a role called procurement agent?
It's not a role. It is a job.
Okay.
It is an employee job. It's a kind of job. It's not a role. But
Okay.
for to have that, to create the role, to play the role of a procurement agent, right? He must have the role to play the job, to do the job activity
Okay.
of the
So
procurement agent.
it's not a role, it's a job. That is the reason why I've done it.
So now here, how can we create a procurement agent? Because to create supplier site, one has to be a procurement agent. So then how can we create a procurement agent? So the user must be an employee user. The user must be an employee user. He must have been assigned with a role called supplier manager. These are the three conditions. To become a procurement, we create the employee user as a procurement agent. To create a procurement agent, then only we can create the employee user. User must be an employee user. He must have been assigned with a role called supplier manager. Okay, this will take it out. This is only a repetition of it. So he must be an employee user. So then he must have been assigned with a supplier manager. Then only we can create a procurement agent. Only the procurement agent can create the supplier side. Supplier side. So to become a procurement agent, he must be an employee user and he must have been assigned with a role called supplier manager. Now, our user is, now Sitaram is an implementation user only. Now the Sitaram is only an implementation user.
Yep.
So to make an employee user, we need to create an employee by associating him with a business unit. Business unit and a legal employer. A legal employer is the legal entity who is associated with a legislative data group, because while creating the legal entity, we have entered this. This I have explained to you in the above also. We have given the same screenshot. So it's not necessary here. So to create an employee user or to convert the employee user as an employee user, we need to have a legal employer. The legal employer is the legal entity that is associated with the legal data group. This we have already explained. So now, first thing is that the user must be an employee user. So how to create an employee user? An employee user can be created in two ways. By creating a new user and assigning him all the roles to the user and associating him associating him with a business unit and assigning him with all the required roles. That's what we can do by creating a new user. That is one method. All our new user will create, he will do all the jobs to him from the beginning again. Or we can convert the existing implementation user as a user by converting the implementation user as an employee user. These are the two options we have. Or by converting the employee user or the implementing user as the employee user.
Got it.
For both of them, we need to go to the same way. But for both of them, we need to go the navigation is in anything you have to create it. We cannot create the employee users from the normal user creation window. Navigation, navigator, security console, tools, security console, users, add user account, Like this, we have this the navigation. Through this navigation, we cannot create the employee user with this navigation from the normal user creation window. This is the normal creation window. So for creating the employee users, we need to follow. We need to navigate to setup and maintenance, user search, global search. That means global search page. Manage users, create user. This is the navigation we have to keep. For creating the employment user, we need to navigate to global search page. The employee user, we need to go search global search page, manage users. This is what we need to remember that from this place. Now we are going to the global search page. Now this is submit here. Now this is done. Now the done. This also is done, completed. The job is completed. Now we have to go to the setup and maintenance pages. Same page, setup and maintenance, global search page. Search is a global search page. So here, manage users, search. Now this is the manage users window. So here, if you search for Sitaram that you have defined, search for him, you will not find. Here, if you find for that, the normal user we have created, you will not find it here because he is not created as an employee user. In this window, if we search for the normal user we have created with the name Sitaram, we do not find because he is not an employee user. He is only implementation user, normal user, implementation user. System says even if you search it, you will not find his name because he is not employee. Employee users only will come here in this global search page. So to create an employee user, we click on plus button and create. So now this is done, right? Click on done. Now again you come back here. Now you can say you want to create, go to the create page here. Create the employee user. Now give the last name here. Last name we can give the same name as Sitaram because you are converting the employee user. Hire date you will have to give. This hire date you did not give when you are creating the normal user. These are all connected to the HCM informations. Hire date. Now here the last name you have given. So title, you can select the title as Mr. Then email, you need to give that. This is a must here. There it is not mandatory, but here it is a mandatory. Now you can give the phone number, everything like that. Here we have got two options. If you want to create Sitaram as a new user, enter the username. You will have to enter the username here. If you do not want to enter him the username, You want to link the current implementation user, link the current user account to this employee user. So you're linking up that account, current account. Now we are selecting here Sitaram. Search is active user. Say OK. So now you have created the Sitaram as the user here. Created. Now you are converting the linking the current user to the employee. So that means you are converting the user here. Converting the user from implementation user to the employee user by giving him the employment details, part of the employment details. We have got some other things we do need to do. So we need to associate with this. Control V. So this is what we have given there. Now again, other information also we need to give. Legal entity, HCM information, right? Like that we have to give some other thing, information also. We scroll down. So we need to select person type. We need to select necessarily as an employee. We need to select the person type as employee only. Casual labor should not, all these things should not be selected. Though employment means he should be an employee here. So legal employer. See, we have got two legal entities, right? Out of the two legal entities, it is asking for the legal employer, not asking for the legal entity. But we select the legal entity only. The legal entity that is associated with the legislative data group converts itself as a legal employer. So now we can select here our own Sita here. Two companies are there for us. So now here Sita, search for the two companies. Now software company will try to associate. We'll try to associate the legal employer. Try to select the legal employer as Sita software company. No legislative data group is associated with the legal employer. Select a different legal employer. That's all. So unless the legislative data group is assigned to a legal entity, that will not become as a legislative data group. It will not become a legal employer. So now we cannot associate. We cannot employ anybody to this because you cannot save this record. That means you are not able to create any employee to that legal entity.
Got it.
Unless they are called it as a legal employer.
Okay.
So now if you select it other company, which is taken as the Sita software company, construction company, which has been assigned with that construction company, it will take. Because he has been converted as a legal employer. Now the business unit, any business unit, all the business units also you can select one by one here. At a time one, at a time one. The employee at a time can be assigned to only one business unit, right? So now he can work any business unit, but he has to be associated with that for the payroll purposes and other things. I think 1010.
So just a clarification. So
Yeah.
So it has to be a business unit within that legal entity.
Within that legal entity. Yes, within that legal entity. You cannot select any other legal entity.
Let's give it a shot to see business unit. Let's select any other business unit and see what happens.
Okay, we'll see that.
The first one, second one, it doesn't matter. Yeah. సేవ్ చేయనిస్తుంది అది
ఏమో చేయలేదు ఎంతవరకు నేను చెప్పారు కదా ఇప్పుడు సేవ్ చేస్తాం సేవ్ అండ్ క్లోజ్ విల్ సీ దట్ మీరు చేశారనుకోండి ఆ బిజినెస్ యూనిట్కే వాడు క్రియేట్ చేయగలరు కదా no the employee is now associated with that business group, so any activity that he can do that, he will be able to do only for that business unit but not to your business unit.
That was my next question. అదే
Yeah.
మనం ఏదో చేసాం కదా పిచ్చిది ఒకటి
అదే పిచ్చి లాంచ్ చేసామంటే.
And there are two things. One is
So
here you
it,
can create
yeah,
a
you should
separate
not
site
allow it.
for
No, you should not allow it to be with me. Frankly speaking, this is a bug in the system. This is a bug in the system. I can say confidently. How can system select any other business unit, right? At least that business unit should be associated only with this company, right? So there is no meaning in it, the system allowing it. This is the kind of things that the system has got bugs like this.
As a part of this test, we'll keep it the way it is. Afzal పెట్టుకున్నాము.
No, మళ్ళీ అక్కడ పోతే క్రియేట్ చేయలేదు డెఫినెట్ గా. Because the employee, he can be working with the same business unit for creating the procurement agent to our business unit. What all the purchases you want to make, you have to make only from the Afzal corporate office location.
What if an employee has to be working across business units?
No, he can work anywhere, but primarily he has to be working with the primary business unit. Later on, he can be associated with any other business groups. He can work as a procurement agent. No, he can
Procurement agent
procure.
He is a procurement agent for multiple business units. How do we do that?
Can be created. Can be created. We have to select the business units. That's all.
Sir, ఇక్కడ మనం we're restricting to a specific business unit, and if I want this user to create whatever that supplied sites for multiple business units, can he create that?
He can. Yes. He can be associated with that business group. Procurement agent for which business unit? Once he creates a procurement agent, so for which business unit you want to create, you can associate with multiple business units. One procurement agent, once you create him, he can be associated with multiple business units. You will see that.
And I'm trying to understand the reason why we are restricting him to a specific business unit here. That's what I'm trying to understand.
No. See, you can associate with him only one business unit, right? An employee has to be assigned to a business unit and to a legal entity. And the bug here is that the business units are coming for the other companies also, but they should not come. Only the associated business unit should come here while creating. Because employee has to working in a business unit means another user has changed the row with the primary of key worker key. Another user has changed. I don't know. Let us wait for some time.
అంటే అది మనం సేవ్ చేసినాం కదా, సేవ్ చేసి ఎరేజ్ అప్డేట్ చేస్తుంటే అది దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఇట్ ఇస్.
No, not updated. No, you will see that. Save and close. Yeah, some other user may be using the same record or something. That's why it did not allow. But it has updated now. If we can go and see the user here. So now it is updated. Our own Seta constructions, it has updated.
Okay.
So like this, we'll give the implementers. So all the roles, because you have converted to him already. So what are the roles you have given here? IT security manager, application, general ledger, accounting, financial analysis. So all the roles you have assigned, they are all automatically coming to this user because you have just converted him. You have not created him as a new user. All over, you don't need to assign him the roles for him. So user details, Sitaram active. Now we'll have to go to the employment information only.
ఇంకా మనం జాబ్ కోడ్ అసైన్ చేయలేదు కదా సార్, జాబ్ ఫంక్షన్ అసైన్
చేయలేదు.
చేయలేదు.
జాబ్ కోడ్ చేయలేదు మనం ఇంకా. అది వచ్చి హెచ్ఆర్ఎంఎస్ లో ఉంటుంది. జాబ్ ఫ్లెక్స్ ఫీల్డ్, గ్రేడ్ ఫ్లెక్స్ ఫీల్డ్ ఇవన్నీ ఉంటాయి.
అంటే మనం రిక్రూట్మెంట్ ఏజెంట్, ప్రొక్యూర్మెంట్ ఏజెంట్ కింద అసైన్ చేయాలన్నారు కదా జాబ్.
ప్రొక్యూర్మెంట్ ఏజెంట్ ఈ జాబ్ అక్కర్లేదు. అది జాబ్, అది ప్రొక్యూర్మెంట్ కాదు. అంటే జాబ్ అంటే అక్కడ వాడికి ఒక డిసిగ్నేటెడ్ జాబ్ ఉంటుంది. సపోజ్ యు ఆర్ ఎ మేనేజర్. సో ఏ మేనేజర్ హ్యాస్ టు డూ సో మెనీ యాక్టివిటీస్. Is it not? So procurement agent
context is అంటే first మనం to beginning of we said unless he has an employee we can create a supplier site. For him to create a supplier site is job or function or whatever it is.
Function you can call it as function. Job I told there really.
Yeah. అంటే
But
ఎక్కడ
it
అసైన్
may be a
చేస్తున్నారు?
function. It may be a work area or a function. That function he cannot play.
అంటే ఇక్కడ ఎక్కడ అసైన్ చేస్తామన్నారు కదా, ఎంప్లాయ్ క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు వి అసైన్ జాబ్ ఫంక్షన్ అన్నారు కదా.
ఎంప్లాయీ క్రియేట్ అప్పుడు ఎంప్లాయీ ఇక్కడ చేస్తామని చెప్పాను కదా. ఎంప్లాయీ చేసేటప్పుడు ఎంప్లాయీగా మనం సెలెక్ట్ చేస్తాము. సో ఈ ఎంప్లాయీకి మనం కంపెనీకి అసైన్ చేస్తామని చెప్పాను. లీగల్ ఎంటిటీ, లీగల్ ఎంప్లాయర్ కు.
అంటే
And
మరి
business.
yeah, so I think we started off the conversation saying that for him to create a supplier site, he has to be a procurement agent. And for him to be a
Yeah.
procurement agent, that should be his job, not the role అన్నాము. So
No,
job
procurement agent is not a job అని చెప్పాను మీకు అక్కడ. సో జాబ్ అంటే నాట్ ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ జాబ్. సో జాబ్ పొజిషన్ గ్రేడ్స్ ఉండేది అట్లాంటి జాబ్ కాదు అది. మేబీ యూ కెన్ సే దట్ టు పెర్ఫార్మ్ దట్ టాస్క్. సో లైక్
keep it going. I want to see like where we assign him as a procurement agent.
yeah, you will see that. So now we have completed the action here called performance of the job. So how to create an employee user? First one, user must be an employee user. So now we have created him the how to create an employee user. We have created the employee user. Two models. We have gone by converting the implementation user. We can also create the same way. You can go and create a new user also. So then he must have been assigned with a role called supplier manager. The role called supplier manager. So we need to assign the role called supplier manager role. Assign the supplier manager role to the employee user. This is the role, employee user. We need to assign the supplier manager role to the employee user. Now we'll have to go to the normal user only. You can go there. You can assign it. This is done. Now this user will come there, but he will have the additional details of his employment. That's all. Because you have created the user already. You have created him as a user here. Now go to the tools, security console. Users, Sitaram. Now this is the Sitaram. Same user you have got, everything, password, everything is the same for you. Now here additional things you got it because now you have been converted. You are able to see all the employment details also coming to the user. Now if you log in as a employee user, you will get the employee related details also you will get there. Like worker name and also the phone person number, employee number is generated automatically. Business unit to which assigned department also we can assign him to the users like that. To the user, navigator, security console, tools, security console, users, edit, add rows. Here we see that the employment, in addition to the employment details are also there for him. The additional employment details are coming here. who we have converted the implementation user as an employee user because to the employee user, we find the employment details here. All other things like user ID, password, and the roles assigned to him are intact. Now we add only supplier manager role now. Now we are going to add only supplier manager to this. Now go to the edit, click on the add role. So roles, supplier manager, add role membership, done. So now save and close. We have added him the supplier manager role. After running this, after assigning the new role, after assigning a new role, we need to run LDAP, Light Directory Access Protocol. Light access the process to synchronize the user with the user role and the access. And what are the access you can have this? We need to run the LDAP. It synchronizes the user's role, access, everything it synchronizes. It maintains a directory where what all the roles he has got and which are to be given to him the access. Now here we go to manage data access to the users. That is a task here, setup and maintenance. Manage implementation project. Overview. Select the project. Manage data access for users. So there you will select the user, you will select the role, you will select the context and give the context value. So here we select the role, select the user, role, data context, and data access context value. Context is either business unit or ledger, everything. So that you will select the context there. Now here, completed. Go to the home page, setup and maintenance. Manage implementation project. Overview. Select the project. Manage data access for users. Manage data access for users. Click on that. Now you can select here users with data access. What all the access you have been given so far? You can find out. Sitaram user. Search for it. So now you get access only for the three general ledger roles only you have been given access set here. For the IT security manager and for the application implementation consultant, there is no need to have any access. They have the access to all the areas, to all the ledgers. Whatever the ledger is there, you can access it. So that's why across the ledgers, across the business units, across the legal entities. So that's why security context is not necessary for them, for those two roles. Now here we need to give the assign him to the username here, Sitaram. The role is supplier manager. That is the role you have assigned to him. Security context is the business unit because the purchasing is done at the business unit level. So you will select the business unit. Now, which business unit? 1010 business unit. So now Sita, civil constructions, save and close. So like this, you will give the business access to him, role and access,
సేమ్
create
రోల్
data
కి
access.
ఇంకో బిజినెస్ యూనిట్ కూడా అసైన్ చేయొచ్చు కదా సార్ ఇక్కడ? ఐ థింక్ యూ కెన్ అసైన్.
చేయొచ్చండి చేయొచ్చండి మల్టిపుల్ బిజినెస్ యూనిట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. If he is authorized to work in the other business units also, he can be assigned to that. And he has to be assigned. Otherwise, you will not be able to work in that business unit. As I said, procurement agents ఉంది కదా, one procurement agent can be assigned to multiple business units if the user has got the access to that business unit. So here we'll have to change that, add that here. So now, like this, we can create, save and close. Now here, save and close. Now, if we select here again, users with database again, second time, now you will get for the supplier manager also, you will find it here because you have assigned the data access. Users with data access, Sitaram. Now, if we search it, one more role you have given there, now it will be coming back. Supplier manager also is associated with the same business unit. So now you can do the activity only supplier manager for this business unit. If he has to create the supplier sites for other business units, then he need to be assigned with those business units also. So now
అంటే my question earlier was, ఇక్కడ we are assigning the business units here to the user. But person క్రియేట్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఆ బిజినెస్ యూనిట్ ఎందుకు అసైన్ చేస్తామో నాకు అర్థం కాలేదు.
అంటే one person has to be associated with one business unit. That's the rule. Afterwards, he can work for any business units. He can work across the business by as long as you can give him access to other business units. You will have to go there. But I really cannot explain to you why they are insisting that a person should be employee should be associated with a particular business group. అది ఎందుకు చేస్తున్నారో మీరు అడుగుతున్నారు, దానికి ఐ హావ్ నో ఆన్సర్ ఫర్ దట్.
డ్యూరింగ్ దిస్ ఎంటైర్ సెటప్ ఇంకా మనకి ఆ స్టేజ్ రాలేదు కదా, ఇంకా ఇది
దేనికి
ప్రొక్యూర్మెంట్ ఏజెంట్ అసైన్ చేయడం ఇంకా రాలేదు, మనకి ఆ స్టేజ్ రాలేదు.
next step is that we have assigned him that, right? Then next step is that we have to assign him create him the procurement agent. For him to have the role he has to have the role. So then we need to create him the procurement. After this only we can create a procurement agent. Now we can create a procurement agent. Now we can create the employee user assigned to a business unit of a legal employer and having given the business unit access to the user, we can create him as a procurement agent. Now we can create the employee user assigned to a business unit of a legal employer and having given him the business unit access to the user as a procurement agent. Because we have done these things, now we can create. For this also navigation is Setup and maintenance, manage implementation project, overview, select select the project, manage procurement agent. While creating the procurement agent, we will select a specific business unit. Once the procurement agent needs to be created specific to a business unit. If one procurement agent has to work for other business units, we need to create him as procurement agent for other business units too. For other business units too, we have to create him as a business. We need to select other business unit also. Now let us go and see that screen first so that we will understand it. So we'll start from the manage implementation project overview. So Sitaram is implementation project, manage procurement agent. So manage the procurement agents. Now we are assigning to the civil construction business unit scope. So specific to a business unit we are creating. Wherever it is specific to a business unit, we have to select a scope. So even if you have not selected before, while creating the go to task, it will ask you to select the business unit first. If you want to create him business unit, you will have to come back to the second one and you have to create him for that. Now, if you want to search, you can search it, but we are creating a new one here. Go to the new procurement agent here. Now, procurement business unit. So 1010, Sita Civil Constructions. Because you have been assigned to only one, user has been assigned to only one. One is coming here. And here agent is Sitaram. Now we are able to see him because Sitaram has been created as an employee user. Only when you create an employee user, you gave him the ID also. Gmail ID you have given only as an employee user. So the procurement agent can be created only with an employee user. So now you are selecting the user, but the employee details also are coming there. So default requisition business unit is given here as the Sitaram Civil Construction Business Unit. By default, it will come. Any other things you create him, again, you can come back and create him to the other business unit also. While selecting here, come back next time, select the 1020. We'll try that later, whether we can be created to him without giving access to the second business unit, without defining the second business unit. Will the system take it or not? So now default printer, because the procurement agent means he has to raise the purchase orders, you will have to raise the requisitions, you may have to have access to the printers. So these default printers normally up to e-business suite, our own DBA is to configure it because the server was in our own premises. But now that the server is there in the cloud, we cannot do anything. Servers are maintained by the Oracle. Whenever you want to set a default printer, you will have to raise a service request and Oracle will set the printers for you. Because it has to be configured in the server. So server access, we don't have, Oracle has it. So that's why you have to raise a service request and they will set the printer there. So now the procurement agent, he has got certain functions to perform, right? What all activities? In a big companies, one procurement agent may not be allowed to do everything. He may be asked only to see the requisitions, or maybe pay the purchase orders, or manage purchase agreements, or negotiations. To be involved in the purchasing activity, one needs to be a procurement agent, no doubt. But does not mean that one can be allowed to have every activity. If small company, okay, one person can do all this. A big companies can engage 10 procurement agents they can create. Even for one business unit, you can have 10 procurement agents.
Okay.
There can be multiple procurement agents even for the one business unit. One can be assigned only one particular one. Don't enable the check boxes, other things. Then here, the access to other agents' documents. You are an agent, you can create all these things. You will have access to everything that you create. By default, what all the documents you create, you will have access to them, read and write both. But for the other agents created, whether you should have any access to other people's documents or not. Because documents is the company owned documents, everything. But if one agent goes on leave and you will have to do something for him. If you do not have access, you will not be able to do anything unless and until he comes. So what are the access you want to give him for the others' documents? His own documents, he has got right. He has got 100% access. Read and write both will have. But for the others' documents, whether you want to give him an access, read only access, view, full access, or none, like that you can. View means read only. Full means you can read and write. None means no access. So like this, you can give the access depending upon the company's policies and depending upon the procurement agents like that. So now like this, we can create the procurement agent and assign him to the functions that he can perform. Small companies will give access to all. Other companies may also restrict the access of one particular individual to one particular activity. So now we have created one procurement agent. So here we need to add notes, something like, so the procurement needs to be created specific to procurement agent. The procurement agent needs to be created specific to a business unit. If one procurement agent has to work for other people like that, and one business unit can have multiple procurement agents also. One business unit can have multiple procurement agents also. One unit also we can have it. So that's what it is. The notes it says. After that, now we have created him as a procurement agent. Now we can go for manage procurement agents. We'll go and try to create him for the another business unit. See, I don't know whether we have created as a business unit as select and add. 1020 whether we have created. Assign the business unit business functions. 1020. Search. Yeah, we have not created 1020 business unit for the Sitaram. So that's why we cannot test it. But we need to create that business unit and assign the business unit business functions, assign the roles as a procurement role, because role is already assigned, role is not required. Give him the data access to the user for that business unit also. Then we can create the same procurement agent to that business unit. If you do not have the access to the other business unit, though the user is there, he can be created as procurement agent to multiple business units. He cannot be created because the user does not have the access to that business unit. Any questions, Sitaram, here?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. So now we have created the procurement agent. Now we will try to create the supplier side tomorrow. Today's morning there was no class for them because
Okay.
two of them were sick. They did not go. That's why I did not teach what I taught you today to them. So I will teach the same thing to them tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning class is not necessary for you again. Same repetition I will do there. So tomorrow evening we'll do the e-business suite. Day after tomorrow morning you can join them for the creation of supplier site. So then we can assign all these things. We can do that.
Okay, sounds good.
But tomorrow morning, no need for you to attend the class. Because same
sounds
thing will be repeated for them.
Okay.
Okay. Madam's daughter is not good, I think, Bindu's daughter. So that's why she
Okay.
said tomorrow she will join. We'll take up.
Okay.
Is this
sounds
okay?
good.
Is this okay for
Yeah,
you? Fine. Yeah.
yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
sir.
Take
Good
care.
night, sir. Yeah,
See you tomorrow.
bye. Yeah, bye.